welcome to my channel. My name is Ray, and today I'd like to talk about faith in Jesus Christ, and basically talk about my understanding of what that is. My reason for starting with this particular topic is there's a whole body of work that I am kind of hoping to get into, um, just and 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 it is the kind of body of work that is complex, I guess, to say the least. But one of the things that would make it difficult for people to understand is would be not having a proper context of understanding. Um, just because of the complexity of the thing that I hope to talk about. Um, so yeah, I'm a layman. I am not a Bible teacher or I've never been a never no, never been a Bible teacher, and I'm not now. I don't believe. Anyways, I don't believe I'm called to that. I guess to say it that way, and um, and so but I am someone who has a who believes uh, that they have been following Christ, um, with their lives, with their life and stuff. And so I have notes, but anyways, I just I've been listening to some stuff, to my usual outlet, YouTube, and the many content producers that are on that space, and I came across a video where a guy was reviewing a sermon by by a late preacher who I've been familiar with for a long time, and the preacher was preaching out of Galatians, and anyways, at one point in the video, the dialogue came on to the importance of who Christ is, of knowing who Christ is, and how basically the most important thing about someone, about a person, about a Christian, is who they say who Christ is. There's that. Anyways, there's different kind of cliche things that go around concerning that, but and so yeah, so with that, I just feel this appropriate to before more than appropriate that before that I should start out because on my channel I don't have yet my full testimony on there. I don't have kind of much context on myself. I'm trying to get that. I've been uh, having a problem with trying to figure out where to start where to start this thing, and so it's been real difficult, and stuff. But every little bit I get that I think that I can use as a starting point, I just try to speak a little bit on it, and hopefully it'll develop into what I'm hoping to. So in the spirit of the importance of who Christ is, to outline um, any other, you know, theological thoughts or opinions or viewpoints or doctrinal, this or that, or positions that someone would want to speak for. Yeah, I agree how it's very important. Unless I'm coming out and saying, anyways, but it's important to know who Christ is. And what I was going to say is that, unless I'm coming out and like, you know, claim to be like an atheist or something like that, then no, it's not. It's I don't know. Yeah, I guess it's important even then to have a proper understanding of what the Christian should what not even the Christian tradition, but what the scriptures, what the text, um, what this book, what these writings, uh, even in their origin, what they were laying forward. So yeah, I'm even talking about our modern English text that we have to fumble around with to try to get understanding. But so so yeah, who Christ is, and so I guess I'll start with some just some, I guess, a little bit of personal context about myself, about when I to use the Christian terminology, when I got saved. I grew up in the Christian tradition, in the fundamentalist Baptist tradition, and this isn't going to be very long, because this definitely, anyways. But yeah, grew up in the fundamental Baptist tradition, and so I've all my life I've been hearing about Jesus, and singing the songs, and remembering the verse and stuff, and things like that. But um, and I've been baptized numerous times too, in my childhood, and made numerous accounts of my having professions of faith and being baptized, and kind of anew and stuff, as if though the one before wasn't actually real, but this time it was real. A number of times, like maybe five, I believe, that I remember, different times and stuff. So in the Christian understanding, that's what, when a person does that, they've gotten saved, and stuff. But that is my history and stuff. But when I grew up and left home, my life and my behavior, and my heart wasn't, it wasn't. Yeah, the things of the Bible and of Christ, they I don't know. I guess I don't really know how deep they were in my heart, but what I do know is that my life, the things I did, I went into the military, um, when I left home, and not very long after, going in and having people that I'm hanging out with and doing things with them, did I find myself, yeah, like participating in things that were understood to be, that I knew to be wrong things. I might have got mixed up with the wrong people right away in the military, and stuff like that. But I don't know, but I'm not blaming the people, but they say that your friends, the company you keep, and stuff, or whatever. But I wouldn't think that they were dirt bags, but anyways, I don't know. This is it's but and so I say all that to say, though, getting into the going into the military and leaving home, and getting out of the auspice of the church that I grew up in, and just that environment. It wasn't very long, a very many years before, the things that I wanted to do, the things that I saw as fun and enjoyable, that I was partaking in, were things that were against, that were against the teachings and stuff. So yeah, like I went pretty immediately wayward, I guess, as one could say. I don't remember having thoughts of, like, man, I can't wait till I get out of here, because I'm never gonna, forget about this God thing. I don't remember having thoughts like that, and stuff. So I don't know that I had like resentment, or was like, overtly wanting to just go out and just, forget about it. I'm not sure, but the point is that um, it in Christian understanding, that kind of occurrence puts question on the reality of one's salvation. That kind of falling out. You know what I mean? And stuff. It's when these when kids get saved, and they kind of stay on the straight and narrow, and and their lives don't. You know what I mean? That's more looked at as, they got saved young, and it's stuck. I would say, so with all times we hear them saying, I've been serving the Lord for this many years, and or I first came to Christ when I was, at the age of 11 or 12, and never been the same, and all that kind of stuff. But but that wasn't my reality. So several years pass, and I just more aimlessness, waywardness. Not I do remember little bits of just, I guess, and it was my heart beginning to change, kind of a slow process in small ways. I remember just little different things that happened, that happened, but just think little, like, for example, I remember in North Dakota, um, at one point towards the end years of that, about, that, I guess, around 7 years of that period, after leaving home and stuff. But um, that I started, yeah, kind of like my heart was kind of inching its way back to wanting to, different things had caused it, but wanting to, you know, reorder my life, basically. And to my understanding, because of my background, the way to do that, uh, is, with, needing Jesus, needing God's help, needing Jesus' help. We can't, you know, yeah. That's the in my to my understanding, that was the way that was done. Otherwise, you're gonna, so, anyways, so little different, different little things became, I started to kind of, I guess, inching my way back into a church environment, to where, yeah, in 2010, I graduated in 2000. So in 2010, um, went into the military in the year 2000, 2001. And then, yeah, so 2010, um, I ended up finding myself, through a pretty crazy history of that, in that 10-year space. But found myself at this, in this member of this church that I'm still a member of now. And there I had an experience, had a before there, different things that happened, but this one final time where, I don't know, something kind of happened in my, happened in my heart, and I'm not going to really, go into that a whole lot, but um, it has changed the trajectory of my life. This what I'm doing right now, wouldn't be the case. What I'm this body of work that I'm speaking about wouldn't be the case if it weren't for that change of heart, that, or that, just whatever was happening, that change of, um, just my yeah, my heart and my mind, being overtaken by a, by this kind of, I don't know, just this, I don't, I do know what to call it, when I'm in a stiller state of mind. I'm not fumbling around with my words as much, and uh, but yeah, it was like a reality was kind of imposed upon me. I'd come into this new thing. So, anyways, and so, yeah, Southern Baptist Church in the local area. I had one that I had seen before. I was somewhat familiar with on the outside. May have visited once in that, in those later years before 2010. Um, but yeah, started, going there. Um, so yeah, but what had happened though? I did, and this is where I'm gonna really get into the point here. Is like what I have written here is in my notes, trying to keep myself in order here. But I came to Christ later, so I say that I had gotten saved in 2010. That this thing, that's what, according to Christian tradition, I had gotten saved. That's what people will say. That's when I give my testimony. It's that 2010 is when the time that I say. But even though the way that I think about that has changed, I'm just using these terminologies to you know to help move this along. So yeah, I got but so when I got saved, what was in my heart, the thing that my heart and my mind was seeing was the holiness of God, with God and his righteousness over against my now, as I have experienced, in these past 10 years in different many ways, my sinfulness, my rebelliousness, my and so it was and that was what was in my mind. And so I was with that picture in my mind of the holiness of God and the sinfulness of myself, and see, and kind of reading, yeah, reading and hearing. Oh yeah, I was at this time through this past, up around this time, I was listening a little bit to preach. I had a little bit of preaching from like different sources, and stuff that I was hearing on, media and everything. So I was having some sermons coming in. So people were talking about the Old Testament, and so there were different things that were putting the holiness of God into my mind, afresh and new, you know, from the scriptures and stuff. And I don't believe that I had spent some time in the scriptures myself, um, and other books, directly in that year, actually 2010. Because I was incarcerated, um, locally for a few months, 2.5 months, and so that during that period of time, I was, had a notebook and stuff, and of course the books in, the Bible that are in the cells here in the local county jail, and things like that. So that was really where, uh, that that began, with the listening and the having the text and the images, the pictures, put before my kind of mind again. I wasn't reading my Bible and stuff before that time, even with the change of heart that I talk about was happening. Um, and so this picture of God in contrast to myself was the picture I had in my mind. Like I said, I grew up with the understanding of Jesus being the only way to be saved, and believing on Him and stuff. So it was like, I don't really remember how I thought of it at the time, but it wasn't the thing that was principal, right, in my mind. The eyes of my heart, as my mind, were on God. So that's what I mean when I came to Christ later. It was like a couple of years later, where listening to different sermons, and in my reading, and having the scriptures and stuff kind of put before me, like I said, anew. I the the teachings of Christ began becoming more into my view, or even that it's like what it was that it was like the real thing to I was beginning to understand that I was beginning to understand that the real, um, importance, the real weight is on our, sometimes it's said, you know being confronted by Christ, encountering Christ, and his person and the work on the cross, and the understanding of the gospel in his person. That was where the real transformation was. Because and I could agree with that, because yeah, at the time, I mean, yes, being impressed upon the holiness of God versus my sinfulness created a fear of the Lord, which the scripture does say is the beginning of wisdom, beginning of knowledge and stuff. So it was verses like that was impressed upon me during this period, during this time. That was like, oh yeah, that kind of moved me from, yeah, okay, so I have this fear of God now, but yeah, there's this thing about this person of Christ, that like I said, even though growing up in church, a lot of the understanding of Christ, I didn't possess it. Not I didn't have it I had some things in my mind, but I didn't really understand them, you know, and stuff. And so it became clear to me that it was this encounter with Christ that was still before me, um, and so I desired that. Uh, and I prayed for that. It was almost like I was, yeah, almost like I was praying again. It felt that, anyways. I remember that the thoughts like that came to my mind as I was in this period of time, as I was desiring, and kind of my prayers were sounding a lot like that, like I was asking to be saved, although I was saved. So the kind of, if you talk to someone about those kinds of things, they'll kind of say, well, remember, you can't do. Say, what you say, they'll say all the once saved always saved stuff, and they won't really. But anyways, that's what it was like. It was like I was like I got even saved again, or saved her. You know what I mean? So um, yeah, so just a season of time where I began learning, and so at that point, I was. I said about a year or two later, after coming to Olivet in 2010, so about 2012, um, I started coming into Puritan and Reform preaching and content. Um, I've been, I had been, using YouTube a lot at that time. I've been, using YouTube a lot at that time as my primary kind of source for, yeah, for stuff. I didn't have a TV or whatever, but so I was, using that outlet, and um, I was using the outlet. So look, I look like I'm gonna run out of time here. I'm gonna have to continue um, on the next deal. So just leave out so I won't forget where I will. Look over it again before I continue on, and so I can hopefully keep some flow going in. But sorry, I only get 30 minutes per recording on this particular app that I'm using. So let me go ahead and pause this and put this one in, and I'll be back.